Hey guys, we're the Sports Addicts podcast, and we're back today with our NFC West predictions. Ash, take it away.
Yeah, NFC West is going to be a really competitive division this year. They've got three really solid teams, and the Arizona Cardinals are also no slouch. They added DeAndre Hopkins, and it's going to be the most competitive division in the NFL. I have the San Francisco 49ers, the defending NFC champions, going 12-4 and getting the second seed. I think the 49ers, they lost some key pieces, but they were able to replace them with formidable players. The loss of DeForest Buckner is something to really keep an eye on. They drafted Javon Kinlaw to be his replacement. He's not going to reach that level of play in his rookie year, but he definitely has a chance to reach or, if not exceed, that level of play in the future. I think the biggest problem with the 49ers is the cornerback play. Richard Sherman is 32. He's going to be 33 soon. We all know that his play last year was very reliant on the pass rush, and if the pass rush this year isn't at the level that it was last year, the cornerbacks, him and Emmanuel Mosley, so the secondary is going to suffer. The offense still has Kyle Shanahan and Jimmy Garoppolo playing in his second full season. I think they're going to take a small step forward to compensate for a small step back in the defense. For the Seattle Seahawks, I have them at 11-5. I think the Jamal Adams trade will definitely help boost their defense, but they're lacking too much on the offensive line and defensive line to really take over the San Francisco 49ers. We all know Russell Wilson is one of the best quarterbacks in football, if not the best. He'll really help elevate the offense, but there's just not enough pass rushing threats on the defensive line to really to make this even an average unit, because it's not. Jamal Adams is a box safety, and even though he's probably the best safety in the league, he's still a safety. They have him and Bobby Wagner are really the only threats they have on the defensive side of the ball. They're most likely going to lose their best pass rusher in Jadeveon Clowney, and they have not signed a replacement for him. LJ Collier, who was their first round draft pick last year, hasn't lived up to the hype. So I think 11-5, a 6th seed in the wild card. Next up, I have the Los Angeles Rams at 9-7. The Los Angeles Rams have the best player in football in Aaron Donald, and best cornerback if not the second best behind Stephon Gilmore. They've got two really solid players there on the defensive side of the ball. I think the biggest thing to look at for the Rams is their offensive line. In 2018, they had a really solid offensive line led by left tackle Andrew Whitworth. But last season, they suffered so many injuries on the interior and exterior, and their offensive line was not able to protect Jared Goff, and he had a terrible season. And their offense, despite having Sean McVay, did not produce much. I think that offense won't get back to 2018 form, but they'll definitely get better from last year because they won't have that same injury luck. So I have them coming at 9-7. Finally, the Arizona Cardinals, the offseason darlings for many people. I think they're going to go 7-9 because their defense is just not at the level that it needs to be to make the playoffs. They drafted Isaiah Simmons, who fell to them in the first round of this year's draft. But outside of him and Chandler Jones, they just don't have many playmakers on the defensive side of the ball. The DeAndre Hopkins trade will most definitely help, but they still need a lot of pieces on the offensive line and as well as tight end. So that's why I have the Arizona Cardinals at 7-9, rounding out the division.
Yeah, so I agree with your predictions mostly. So to move on to the Rams, I feel like the Rams, they lost a lot of key pieces this year. Dante Fowler was one of the biggest ones they lost, and they replaced him with a draft bust in Leonard Floyd. Dante Fowler last year, in my opinion, was really underrated, and I feel like him in the 3-4 defense that the Rams run, Wade Phillips defense, who I think is no longer there anymore. He was a big piece in the defense, and I think losing him is gonna make them maybe lose 1 or 2 wins this year. And I think the Rams should be switched with the Cardinals because I feel like the Cardinals still go underrated, even though their hype is too much. So besides that, I agree with everything.
Yeah, I also have to agree with him. I think the Cardinals should be ranked above the Rams. What you said about the offseason hype not being justifiable, yeah, that's true. Maybe they're a bit too hyped. But still adding a top 3 receiver and also adding a versatile playmaker in Isaiah Simmons in the draft class will surely boost their odds of winning. And I believe that their big three of Chandler, Jones, Peterson, and Simmons will carry them, or at least make some clutch stops late in the game, and that'll allow the Cardinals to ground out a few wins. So I really think the Cardinals should be above the Rams.
Well, I don't understand how Isaiah Simmons is part of the big three. He hasn't played a down in football yet.
Exactly.
Well,
He hasn't proved anything.
But a Baker as well. So.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't proved anything. Everyone's acting like he's already an all-pro, like Bobby Wagner or Luke.
Well, if you have the ability to play literally every position on the defense, the hype is justified.
He has the ability, but he
has the ability, but you can't play all positions at one time. You can only play one at a time.
Yeah, I get that. His versatility allows the defensive coordinator to put in the best packages all the time, so they can for example, in a package where there's only two linebackers, Isaiah Simmons can play the position of cornerback, and some other two linebackers can sub. And this gives the defensive coordinator a lot of room to work with, and there's so much more that the Cardinals defense can do with such a versatile playmaker like him. So I think it is justifiable to include him in that big three.
I mean, I think he's more of a freak of nature in terms of his athleticism, with being 6'3", 6'4", 230-something pounds, and able to run as fast as he did in the 4.3s. I think his athleticism is what gives him the ability to play all those positions. But if you look at the film wasn't anything shocking or anything. His film, in my opinion, was worse than Devin White of LSU from last year, who went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Devin White had better play on the field than Isaiah Simmons. So I don't know. We'll see how he plays this season. But yeah, I just think their defense on the Cardinals doesn't have enough pieces outside of those two or three great players.
Yeah, I think the offensive line for the Rams is going to hold them back. I feel like they took a big step back from 2 years ago, where they had Roger Saffold, who they lost to the Vikings, and now they're pretty much, besides in that offensive line in 2018, they pretty much lost the whole interior. So I feel like they're pretty much starting rookies out there, and Andrew Whitworth is just getting older. So I think the Rams still are going to take a step back.
Also, one more thing I want to highlight on was the Seahawks defense, right? They just traded for Jamal Adams, but we don't really know about their defensive line. What are you guys' thoughts on their ability to get to the quarterback?
As you said, their defensive line is it's so unproven. They did draft edge rusher Darrell Taylor this year, but no, they don't really have any eye-popping talent. They lost Clowney, who, despite his people thinking of him as just a run defender, he was actually a solid pass rusher as well. He'll get some pressures. So basically, right now, the Seahawks defense is just Wagner and Jamal Adams, and then a bunch of other non-names just basically filling in the supporting cast. But Pete Carroll is a defensive-minded head coach, and Seahawks always seem to find a way to finish with a middle-of-the-pack defense, even though they don't have that much talent all over the defense. So I expect the Seahawks to finish like somewhat in like 15th or 16th defensive-wise.
Yeah, so for their defense, they still have a couple underrated players like Quandre Diggs. They picked up from the Lions mid-season last year. They still have Shaquille Griffin, who still was really good in 2 years ago, and last year he was a bit inconsistent. And on the defensive line, they are unproven with LJ Collier, like Ashwat said. But I think Jaron Reed out of Alabama is still a really good prospect, and I feel like this year he's gonna break out.
Yeah, that's for sure. I think the biggest thing with the Seahawks is they have to find a way for Russell Wilson to get more passing attempts, because last year he showed that when he was able to throw the ball, he was efficient and he was able to get first downs. But they were such a run-first team that their offense sometimes stalled because they ran the ball too much. I think we need to see Pete Carroll kind of give more opportunities to Russell Wilson to throw the ball more, and that offense could even get to the next level if DK Metcalf can take that next step.
Oh, yeah, it'll be fun to see if the Seahawks offense really lives up to the standard, because with a franchise QB, the offense can do anything. And we'll have to wait and see if the Seahawks shift from run-heavy offense to more willing to put the ball in Russell Wilson's hands sort of offense. But that'll do it for our NFC West predictions. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.